Also, not everyone's going to hate you there because they don't all know you.
No, brilliant. So I can start fresh.
Yeah.
I started early. Nike shit. So they might
Where's this fucking Naoki there?
just give me pitchforks.
Just with a shirt.
Where's this guy?
With a shirt that just says, "Her is the best."
Yeah, I love her. Nike shit.
Yeah.
I love her on the front. Nike shit on the back.
No context. Okay, so we're going to start with Callum posted on behalf of both of us on the Idle Chat Instagram page and Facebook page regards questions. So I'm going to start with those.
Start with a few of them.
Makes sense. So I'll fire away. We'll start with mehem.evs. Your
Sorry if
dream...
we butchered that.
Sorry, yeah.
I'll apologise now.
Mehma plus .evs. Your dream chassis build spec if money wasn't an issue, and which track would you want to drive it on and why? This could take quite a while, this one.
This could be a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah. We'll keep it briefer. We don't need to know alignment specs and no.
All right. I would certainly probably say another R32.
Really? I didn't think you'd say R32. I thought you'd say something different.
I would think I'd probably build another R32 slightly differently, but probably most the same. I suppose, actually, I don't know.
If only you could buy your one back.
Yeah, if only. I don't want to talk to you, Jordan. Please don't get back in contact. I suppose I did build my dream car, and it was the 32. If I was to go again, would I build another one? Perhaps I might take a stab at something else. I have a bit of a hard on for these at the minute.
15.
Yeah, but my bank account isn't so keen. A 15, probably with an R. This isn't far off, to be fair.
Really?
What I
would you
build
go
again.
low stancy boy, or would you go 4x4 boy?
Yeah, I'm aware it doesn't work, but I'm not very intelligent, so
You're still going to go stancy
probably going to go same sort of style again.
with something that goes kadunk as you put it into gear.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a G-Force, Quaife.
Yeah, HET or something like that, something fancy.
It has to go kadunk.
I have one other car that I've always wanted to build that I know you hate, which would be an Aristo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would.
No offence to anyone with an Aristo.
No,
they're just not for me.
No, I do like a big body car and I do fancy a big spicy JZ, but...
And also, as we discussed last week, you want to be hurt.
Yeah, I'm like,
And that's what he has.
a lot more overweight hurt and a lot poorer.
Poorer, definitely.
Yeah.
Probably both.
But yeah,
And what track?
well, Ibisi.
Yeah?
For me, Ibisi, without a shadow of a doubt.
I can't wait to see you try and get on some of those tracks.
Yeah.
With it on the floor.
Yeah, that might not be the car for that circuit, but Ibisi is...
If you could just like levitate it onto North Course.
Yeah. North Course looks like a
Pie.
wild place that I would never tire of lapping, which,
Yeah.
judging by the fact that people continue to return is absolutely the case. But no, North Course at Ibisi would, or
North Marina.
No, not North Marina. I would say Minami, but it does absolutely terrify me, and it's not really available anymore.
Again, taking a stancy low boy around
Yeah,
Minami.
that car's, the two questions there have segregated slightly.
Yeah.
And I didn't really answer the first one, if I'm honest.
No, you did. You said
I've got
a gearbox that goes kadunk and then an Aristo with a what, RB? Or with a JZ? Or with a...
Yeah.
Or an S15?
Yeah, 15 with a big RB, probably.
15
It's probably
like a 28 billet.
Yeah, big
boy.
spicy. Let's have some 10,000 RPMs. Let's go real rowdy. Something like that. Or Dwayne McKeever's car. I'll just buy that. But when it works.
Do you like it that much?
I love that car.
Really? I like the setup.
I love a 13.
I would like McKeever's car, like McKeever's running gear, but with that other Irish S13 that's in DMEC with
Kylie?
Yeah, Tomas Kylie with the
I don't know what that kit is.
Crap.
Is it car modified wonder?
No, it's not car modified wonder. Spirit Ray? No.
It's sick.
It's a
Big angly boy.
Yeah, it's a
Got
sick
arches that do this.
Yeah.
Got waves in it.
sick kit. That's what. Yeah, that's that car with that kit.
Yeah, fair play. No, I would Dwayne's car as it sits.
Sweet. I'll answer as well then. I don't know. there's like
hard,
there's like 5 builds that I'd want.
Yeah, exactly. I could never stop building cars.
I suppose I'd have, again, gearbox that goes kadunk.
Yeah.
Probably sequential, because I don't think anything is more satisfying than bang,
Yeah,
bang, bang.
I'm arguably aware that they're probably not as reliable as a dog box, but there's something manly about it. Isn't there?
And I would probably go, like Brody Mayers in Australia, SR24 Mazworks that revs to like 10,000 RPM and makes 1,000 horsepower. I'd have like 3 of them because they're not going to last very long. So I'd have 3 SR24s lined up.
That car is sick 'cause it only weighs about 1,000 kilos.
Yeah, and it's just like wheelie. As
it looks real rowdy.
Yeah,
even when it's on fire. Which
it does do that.
That look rowdy as well.
Yeah.
But
That's what I would do. An SR24 with a kadunk, with a GTR rear end or something. And then I don't know, I do like a PS. I like anything S body.
I like a one veer.
Yeah,
I've always liked the one veer.
Yeah.
Not for everyone, but I do like pop-ups.
Yeah, I think one veers are cool, but it wouldn't be for me. It'd probably have to be something S body, not a 14. Probably would be a 15 in fairness. To be honest.
So what you're saying is you just do an engine swap?
What I'd do is I'd put that back to standard, and then bolt a kadunk gearbox
bolt a
to it.
spicy engine in it, and off we go.
Yeah. Either that, or I'd go completely flip side, and I really like, and I don't know why, but I really like Denofa's Porsche Cayman drift car, and I'd go like Cayman GT4. Go like, I want this to be like the carbon Recaro, seats, like LZs, Supra.
A real upper class.
Yeah, and I want a built Porsche engine with hybrid turbos, and I want 800 horsepower, and I want a built transmission. Yeah, because that car is cool.
The question I have is, would you build an all-out car? Or would you just build a really tasty mid-level car? Because if you built yourself a 1,000 horsepower SR15...
Yeah, but that's why you have 3 engines.
Yeah, I know, it's just a pain in the ass, isn't it? Would you build an out-and-out track car, or would you build yourself something that would do a bit of everything, or would you...
That's a good question.
Because I think the idea of an out-and-out car is awesome, but you can't use it many places because it's ridiculous.
But if you've got FU money, you've got FU time, which means you've got FU...
I've got fuck all money.
Yeah. I think every episode we've said the same thing. We're just poor.
We're just poor and just like talking about it. That's why we've resorted to talking about it.
Yeah, because we can't use them. So we'll just talk about using them. Okay. I don't know.
Would you build yourself another straight car? Or is that ship sailed for you?
No,
because this used to be a street car.
Fundamentally, they're shit.
They are terrible.
Like, they're shit.
Yeah, they are shit.
I had a stock 15 for quite a while that I used on road, and as a 90s Japanese...
Stock spec R, wasn't it?
Yeah, stock spec R, 6-speed turbo, aircon, everything all good.
Ice cold aircon.
Ice cold aircon.
Beautiful aircon.
And it was really cool, but like you do miss the mod cons.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't got heated seats, I haven't got Apple CarPlay. I know you can fit all that stuff, but still
it's never as good as factory fit, is it? It's never as sweet.
Realistically, you can buy an S15 spec R for 25 grand, a nice clean one, or you could buy a highly spec'd BMW M2.
It's not much of a competition.
One's got 200
for a street car.
One's got 250 horsepower ish. One's got 340 horsepower, 60 horsepower.
Pull way more dudes with an S15.
You'll get more phallus.
Yeah, way more.
You will pull more phallus.
Way more Percy in your life with a 15.
Yeah, there'll be more chopper in your life if you do go S body.
That's all it's attracting. There's a few adenoidal men are going to be like, oh, that's lovely, and that's about it.
Yeah, you're not pulling.
The actual reality of it is they're old cars now. They're okay on the road. They are not bad.
Yeah, you can use them.
They're not a modern car. Not for everyday use. They're not a great all-rounder, are they?
I use mine daily, and to be fair, it was pretty good on fuel. It never let me down. It had good aircon. It was a good daily car, but it wasn't 25 grand's worth of daily car.
But it also was bone stock.
Yes.
It wasn't that good to look at. So by the time you've done all the bits and pieces you wanted to do to make it how you'd want a street car to
It'd be 30 grand.
It's then shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and
it's then useless.
Yeah. It's not that though. It's like no cruise control.
Yeah.
No automatic headlights, automatic wipers, and all this is first world problems. But
absolutely.
When you do what I do and you work with like relatively nice cars every day, and you drive back from, I don't know, like Monday I drove back from, where did I drive back from? Bristol. And you've got adaptive radar cruise control, heated seats, I'm speaking to you on the phone, and then I'm listening to a podcast, and it's got Harman Kardon music system, and it's just a nice car to drive back. And then you do that in an S15 or 14 or whatever, and you're like, oh, you get to sort of halfway back and you think, I'm bored of this now. My back hurts.
Yeah, they're like a sub-hour-long journey car.
Maybe we're just old and boring and grumpy.
I think we've got old. I think that's exactly what's happened.
Maybe
we've had a sip of the other side, so
yeah.
you do go and drive a 25 grand S15,
Yeah.
and then go and drive a 25 grand 530D,
Yeah.
and you think, well, there's only one option here, isn't there? And it's not the 15.
I could have all the tech, comfy, lovely, 50 miles per gallon.
Yeah. I would argue that they would be a much better daily driver if they were still 7 grand.
I think that's probably the key problem.
Yeah.
If they were sub 10 grand, fine. You're not buying much better for sub 10 grand. But for 25 grand.
Yeah, 20 to 25, which is what a nice.
Yeah.
Not even a full kitted spec car. Yours wasn't a full kitted car, was it? It wasn't.
No.
It didn't have the full aero on it, the factory
No.
aero.
No, it didn't.
So it was, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't
buy you so much more car.
I didn't pay anything like that for it.
No.
But yeah, it's.
You didn't sell it for much less than that, though.
I didn't sell it for much less than that. But it's a hell of a lot of car. It's not a lot of car for a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. But then are we like back in the old days of I can pick up an S13 for 2 grand with a CA?
To give some context to this, my 32 that I had was owned by my friend Ash, who you know as well.
Yeah.
And when I found that car for him originally. When we went to buy it, it had 6 months tax and 6 month test when that was still a thing, as in being able to transfer the tax. And it was a factory manual first year, so an 89 Curo Black GTST, and it was £800
£800
for a running, driving, MOT taxed factory manual.
To be fair, the
car.
tax is going to be 200 quid.
Yeah.
So it's £600.
Yeah. It was nothing, and he had that I can think of off the top of my head 5 R32s for under 1,200 quid.
See, at that money, that's a good daily.
Yeah.
But at 20 grand,
yeah,
that's not a good daily.
It's a great drift car because bent. I'll get another one. Oh.
Get another one.
They're not that anymore. He bought a factory manual JZX 90 with a big single on it for £2,600 back in the day, which is again, those cars are cool, but
you're paying more than that for an engine.
You literally are, yeah. Well, Nico's trying to sell, or is selling at the minute, stripped apart 1J at the minute that needs oversized pistons, but other than that, it's all standard and all good for £2.5 grand. Take us back, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my street car days are somewhat coming to an end. But I wouldn't mind I could get down with a nice JZX
If it wasn't 30 grand.
if it wasn't 30 grand.
Or
As
is
a street car.
it just because we're poor?
It's probably because we're poor.
I think it's probably because we're poor.
Or less stupid. Because a lot of...
No, you're still stupid.
I'm pretty stupid.
Yeah, and I'm pretty stupid.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what I would have as a family wagon, a Stager. But they used to be 800 quid and now they're 10 grand.
Trying to get
And
loose.
they're shit.
I was trying to get Lucy to buy a Stager, but
Not interested.
no.
But yeah, I mean, and the money no object build would be something with a big spicy RB in it. Probably something like Dying's car.
Yeah.
And then just pick a chassis because really at that level the chassis is the same money.
It's a vessel to carry your running.
Yeah. It's all the clobber that's
Yeah.
inside it that's £1 million.
And I'd build what I've got, but with a 24, SR24, and a gudunk box. And I'd drive it. You're going to be shocked to hear this.
Let me guess. Does it begin with N?
It might begin with M. Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck me, you're going to take a 1,000 horsepower 15, right?
To Mondello. No, I mean... no, to Mayhan. To be fair...
Might be a bit...
Bit Larry.
You're going to go through the wall and out the other side.
Can you imagine me rocking up to my first ever Mayhem day in a 1,000 horsepower S15?
Hello, I'm here and I'd like to enjoy myself.
Naoki, hold my beer.
And then watch someone in a 300 horsepower PS pull away from you and be like, what's happened?
Not even that, like a S13 DE.
Yeah, with a 13-year-old at the wheel.
Yeah.
You'd be like, well, I've been left behind.
Yeah, that probably would humble me real quick. So I'm going to change from Mayhan and say Ibisu.
The big track.
The big track. The fast track.
I can't remember what it's called. Is it Nagashi?
Nagashi.
Yeah.
Or North Course. Or both. Minami, potentially.
Minami looks scary. This car's done Minami.
This car has done Minami.
I'm not sure I've got big enough testicles.
No. Again, it comes down to money, doesn't it? If
struggle-
it was 1,200 quid, you'd have big enough testicles.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it was 22 grand, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
'Cause we're poor.
I've ballsed up entries that didn't have a fucking kickflip in them.
They do. It does have a kickflip, yeah.
So I'm definitely going to struggle with that one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Well, hopefully that answers the question.
Well, that answers that one, yeah. What's
Next, from Choppings, which I think is Sam Chopping,
Sam Shopping, yeah.
of previous S14 and
Sora days.
Sora days. Were there any cars or people that inspired you guys before you got good? When did we get good?
Yeah, I've not got good yet. I'll let you know when I get good.
Who inspired you? Well, I think, to be fair, you covered most of that on your last
I did.
Hurt.
Yeah, Hurt is pretty much my inspiration.
Yeah.
And for both cars and driving and people in general.
Yeah.
There's a few other drivers that I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
Dwayne is one of them.
Dwayne's a
In the world
savage.
of competition.
Yeah.
And
I also like that I can't understand a word he says.
No. Northern Irish with a heavy accent.
And a little bit of a lisp. It is impressive. I cannot understand, but I'm really enthralled in what you're saying.
Actually, something that popped up on my memories on Facebook today was from BDC Teesside a few years ago, and Dwayne was battling for the championship at the time. He'd smashed third gear out of his dog box, unlike Dwayne to break
Classic
something.
Dwayne.
And he was meant to be out for a battle, and I was the person on the radio keeping an eye on him to make sure he made his battle. I was in the pits and I said, Dwayne, are you going to be out, mate? Like, are you going to make it to this? And he said, yes, we've ratchet strapped it into third, and I've upped because he was going third and then into fourth for the big corner and back down to third, and he smashed it going back down to third. I've ratchet strapped it into third, and we're going to wind the rev limiter up. I'll be there. So that was his attitude, and he won the event. So like that kind of attitude, never say die attitude, appeals to me. He's an RB man, which I'm an RB man.
God's motor, we've said it before.
Definitely. And his style is unbelievable. And total disregard for mechanical sympathy.
Oh yeah.
Which I also can get down with. Like, he's the only man I've seen, and it's happened multiple times. You've seen even people like Jimmy Oakes when he first went to Driftmaster say, Dwayne slows the car down with the clutch, doesn't he? And he never lets off the throttle. And that is exactly how he drives. It is.
Yep.
Well, we need to take some wheel speed out of it. I'm not going to lift my right foot because that's on the floor now. I'll just dip the clutch. And that style of driving that he has is insane. Another driver that is a close second for me is Jack Shannon.
Yeah. Very similar
Representing
style.
the thick boys.
Thick boys.
But also he has an attitude of driving that, again, very aggressive, but very stylistic, and he's not willing to really deviate from that. Despite the fact he's quite a successful competition driver, he'll often lose a battle or lose an event due to him wanting to drive a specific way. Like throw big style, big angle, big aggression. And I like that. I've got a lot of time for that. A lot of time for that. What about yourself?
McKeever and Shanahan, definitely.
Yeah.
For me, I would say, would be Nakamura, but not so much. Julian Jacobs, 100%.
He's a spicy boy.
Because Julian followed a very similar path to me, so he was very relatable.
Jason as well.
Jason, all the animal garage,
all the
animal style, boys. And the other boys, like the New Zealanders, the Seas Garage, and the Japanese dude in the A86 at Hampton Downs. Yeah. And they're just like throwing it against the wall.
Yeah, which is 4 foot of grass.
Yeah, and it's like top of fourth, and they're just throwing it at a wall across a piece of grass, and then digging it out the corner.
Hoping for the best.
Yeah, it's sick. The final person, who's my biggest crush, I'd say now, is probably Toshi from Japan. If you don't know, Alpha.
That almost sounds like a racial slur. It's just Toshi from Japan.
Toshi from Japan.
A man called Toshi from Japan. But no, he's an incredible driver.
He's just wild. Yeah. He's like He's a full balls out, like a McKeever style, but in the Japanese way. So SR, S15, B knuckle, all that stuff, and just like
I don't think his car ever comes below about 7,000.
no, and it never seems to be on 4 wheels very long. It's always on 3 wheels.
Yeah, it's pretty out there.
He is a wild dude. If you haven't seen him, just like Instagram, Alpha Imports or Toshi, and you'll find him.
S15 Alpha, isn't it?
I think it's S15 Alpha. Yeah, he's just a savage. So influenced me would probably be, sort of saying the past, would be probably Animal Style, specifically Julian Jacobs, C's Garage Boys, and Naoki, those 3.
I'm really looking forward to seeing the C's Garage cars in America with Animal Style.
Final bout.
Yeah, for Final Bout. That's going to be very cool. I've been closely following their builds.
But they're so nice as well. Like Adam, who does all their fab work and everything and paint work, he's just mental.
Incredibly talented.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I do like about, again, both Animal Style and C's Garage were originally low boys, big stance, big fitment, and have moved on to...
Well, they have the Naoki effect.
Yeah, they've done a wheelie like you.
I suppose ultimately it comes back to Naoki. But what he's done for other people then it's like a domino, isn't it?
Yeah.
He changed their opinion, they changed 2 or 3 people's opinion.
Imitation is the best form of flattery. At the end of the day, he came to a few events and everyone watching was like, oh my God.
How do I do that?
What do we need to do to get involved in some of this?
The other thing I like about the C's Garage Boys is they're building 86s and stuff.
Yeah.
Just because they had a go in one and said how much fun they are, and like they don't need all this power and stuff like that. And I think that's quite admirable as well. Julian is, like we said, I think again in the last podcast, for me he's an incredibly talented driver, but never really had the financial backing to do probably as well as he could.
Yeah. Every time
like the underdog, and I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Anything he drives, he wheels.
Like, the 350,
350 to a 1,000 horsepower pro car. He's rowdy in all of them, and he drives all of them exactly the same.
Yeah, flat
which is
out.
Terrifying because he drives that 1,000 horsepower pro car like he drove his stock power 350Z.
Yeah,
with a lot of momentum and a lot of big commitment.
Yeah,
which is what makes him exciting to watch.
Oh yeah, definitely. And when he's coming down that straight, something wild's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
especially if he presses the nitrous button.
Yeah.
And if you've not seen that video, it's fantastic.
Yeah. When he bumps him off the track. Yeah. That's quite funny. But yeah, no, they're my influences, Mr. Chopping and Callum's. Next question from S13 Mike _. Best engine and chassis combination for drifting?
I think that's probably irrefutable, isn't it? It's an S15 with a 2J in it. And arguably that is the recipe for competition.
You've got to say 2J as the engine. You've got to, 90% of, I say 9%, 75% of top level cars are 2Js.
Still now, yeah. And an S chassis is probably the most winningest chassis in drifting as well. If you're talking about competition.
Well, it doesn't say.
It doesn't say.
But
I know he owns an SR-S13.
Does he?
Yeah, a DY built SR13. He's the one I sent you. That
a DY mention.
We shared the photo of with him watching us in his in his garage.
Oh, is that? Yes.
Very cool car. Very nicely built car.
Yeah, cool dude. No, I think it's irrefutable, as you said, that you have to say 2J. It is the engine.
It is, yeah. It is certainly in the
for
competition world.
90% of applications.
I mean, it's wrong. It's an RB, obviously.
Well, obviously, yeah. But it is the engine. If you want to run 500 to 1,200 horsepower.
Well, back to Dwayne McKeever. He's borrowing the Strom S15 for Driftmasters.
It's going to have a bad weekend.
It's going to have a tough weekend because there's a lot of walls.
And there's a lot of money on the line.
Yeah, there is.
So he's going to be going for it. And he needs engine parts, yeah.
But he has changed the turbo and changed the fuel and the injectors that 15's on.
Yeah.
And wound it up from 650 to 950. Which arguably you could do with any engine, but
no, you're not doing that on an SR.
But no, well, yeah, no, you're not. But
just so like therefore,
any big 6, you're not just changing injectors in a turbo.
You're not doing that on a 25.
You're not making 950 out of a 25 very easily.
Not without really stretching.
Whereas that they've literally changed the turbo, upsized, bigger injectors, and some better fuel. So
the engine is 2J. The chassis we're saying is S body. However, you could argue modern chassis probably the Super is going to be more and more dominant.
Mustang.
Well, we'll
But
see. We'll see.
That team is unique in the sense that they're factory backed, and that team's only ever run Mustangs, so
True.
they have a lot of chassis knowledge in that, and they're factory backed, so they have the funding to develop stuff. I think an S chassis is by far the most winningest chassis. E46 probably worth a shout as well,
And 36.
and E92.
And 92.
But in my opinion, it's an S chassis with a 2.
I'd agree. Yeah, I'd agree. For most applications, that's going to rip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cafe Carl, previously of S14 fame, which is now Ed's S14,
Yeah.
and now he does.
Which also doesn't
Now he does is coffee and motorbikes,
And he does a very good job of them. That bike
He does.
built is beautiful.
and does photography very
I need
well.
to drink his coffee. Yeah, he did my wedding photography.
Very good guy.
Lovely guy.
Beginner cars as an alternative to an S chassis.
Is this asking for a friend, Carl, or is this asking for you?
Carl,
Is there a return happening, Carl?
which chassis are you going to buy, Carl? So a beginner
I know you
car.
can buy your old chassis back for the right money.
Yeah, and it's red now as well.
red,
It's
yeah.
the better colour.
Oh, in tandem.
Beginner car, alternative. There's two for me. I'll go 1st. Beginner car, S chassis. Rather than S chassis, it has to be realistically E36, E46 as a beginner car. 350Z. They're the two. You could go a little bit left wing and go GT86.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Left field, not left wing. That's different.
Yeah, that's very different.
Not right wing. Yeah, GT86, 350Z,
GT86s in this country are still reasonably strong money for a running
Not a
driver.
shell.
No, but then you're into a build, not a beginner car.
True, that's true. And the standard boxer engines are
Yeah, they
dog shit.
can't pull themselves out their own way.
No.
Let alone.
Whereas a 350, in fairness, I mean, not your 350 because we made that really hard work, but a general 350, weld the diff, put a seat in it, put a handbrake in it,
Yeah.
maybe some coilovers, go.
Yeah.
Cut the lock stops off, go.
And they have enough power to work.
Yeah.
I've driven a lot of what people would call beginner cars, all sorts of stuff. We even had to go in an MG-TF. Terrible. drift car.
MGTF?
The mid-engine one. Do I mean TF?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Terrible thing. Didn't work.
Wow.
It will shock you. Didn't work.
I remember seeing Ben Rowland in a Mitsubishi Starion.
I've driven that Starion. It was a hell of a car.
That's a hell of a car.
Love that car. That car is still around.
Is it?
Believe it or not.
A
Yeah.
Starion. You don't see that
was
anymore.
good fun. But yeah, I've had the privilege, or not in some cases, of driving a lot of beginner cars. The 350, in my opinion, and it's not because I own one, because let's be real, I've not exactly been flattering about 350 ownership.
You've pretty much said that you don't really want to own one, but
No,
you
I
want,
don't really want
you
to
wanted
own
to
one,
get into
but
drifting cheap, and
I'm
that
too
was
poor
the,
to own anything else.
yeah.
Is by far the most well-rounded beginner car. It's got enough power to do what you want it to do. It's capable of doing more than
Yep.
your average chassis. E36, 46, great cars. All of the 46 engines are shite.
They are. Yeah.
They aren't. They will do a drift if you want to use 15-inch wheels, but if you want the car to have, if styling is even slightly on your agenda, a 46 isn't worth the paper it's written on, because none of the engines really make a great deal of power. A 36, yeah, most of them are pretty strong.
You can musk kit an E46.
You can musk it. It looks wonderful.
It looks so
I
cool.
was talking to someone the other day.
Or
and I said-
Huxley does quite a cool kit.
Yeah, he does. Not a touch on a musk though.
No, but
I was saying to someone, actually Jordan, who owns my 32 now,
Yeah.
my old 32. It's not my 32 anymore. But
it'll forever be in your head.
yeah, it will
Your
forever
32.
be my 32 in my head, yeah. I said I've actually had the privilege of, with Ed, building a musk-kitted E46.
Yeah, you did.
It was a pain in the arse. But I said to him, I was like, if I had money, no object, I would buy a 318 shell, put a musket on it and a set of splits, paint it, and put it in the corner of the room and never drive it. Because it didn't work. It was not in this country.
No.
It was so unbelievably low. Like, we were looking at raising fuel tank options, and like, that's how it got stuck coming out of a unit which is basically flat. Like, it had to be so low to look good, but my God, it looks good when it's done.
They do look sick.
But as for a beginner chassis, yeah, I'd say a 350 is probably one of your best bets. I'd
Yep.
still say an E36.
Yeah.
325 or a 328, depending on whether you get a good one or a
Yeah.
shit one.
I was
Because
Yeah.
I have driven multiple, same with 46s, and you can buy a 325 E36 and it will rip, and then you go and buy another E36 325 and it's flat as a witch's tit, and you can't figure out why. There is no obvious issue, it's just a shit one.
Cam sensors.
Yeah, probably cam sensors, yeah. But I'm not getting down that rabbit hole anymore.
No, I think it has to be 350Z.
I think so, yeah, in this country. Or, if you're smaller than me, an MX-5.
Yeah.
I need two, one for each foot.
you
But-
wear an MX-5.
Yeah, it's a costume for me, not
Yeah.
a car. But I would say an MX-5 is still a good contender.
Yeah.
There's such a lot of options available, like aftermarket options available for them. Plenty of power adders. They'll make 250 horsepower fairly reliably with a turbo on them in the future if you want them to.
And engines are cheap.
Engines are cheap.
And available.
Gearboxes are cheap. Diffs are cheap. And if you look at what Gripped Up do in them,
Oh, God, yeah. And they're not turboed. They're just...
no, they're not. Most of them are NA. A couple of them are ITB, but
Connor Wilson's is another example of a car, of an MX-5
Yeah.
that can go the other end of the spectrum.
yeah, that one really has gone a long way. But yeah, I think an MX-5 is a good shout if you're significantly smaller than me.
Yeah, if you're not a thick boy.
Don't fit in them. It will shock you to yeah.
Funny that.
And Carl owns an MX-5, so bring it round or weld the diff for you.
He does. There you go, Carl.
I think it's his wife's though. So.
There's a few more, but I'll just go through one. If not, this is going to become
Tedious cast.
tedious cast, yeah. From Sunny_Lum, Lumm, is a sim rig a good way to get into drifting?
So, I have no experience on them. I have had a couple of goes on a couple of very average ones, I would say. I've not had a go on what is a proper setup. I can't get my head around them. I would love to. That's another thing I'd love to dive into and have a real good crack at. But it's irrefutable. You only have to look at Manoa, Conor Falvey, and plenty of other drivers in the world that are coming from a sim and getting straight in a car and being able to drive. I think the transition, if you've learnt to drift in a car and you're going to a sim, is a lot harder because you don't have the sort of physical cues, but the muscle memory, the sort of skill set that you can learn through a sim, I think you can't argue that it is of benefit.
I totally agree. And I'd also say, like we said a little while ago, for Tom, testing stuff, to then, on the sim, to then apply to his real life car. Yeah. It's good to figure out kinks, try, well, what if I give it a load of toe in or a load of toe out? Or what if I give it a really soft rear spring and
gearing?
Or gearing. It just allows you to try stuff, and then you'll figure it out. You might not know 100%, but it gives you a flipping good idea as to whether it's going to be a good idea or a bad idea before you do it to your car and turn it to an event and go, oh, that was a bad idea.
Yeah, and there was in the Drift Games vlog when they were talking, when they were at Drift Masters in Spain, they were talking about the fact that they'd been on the sim a lot to learn the track, and they said even despite the fact that because the track had a lot of banking in it, a lot of gradient, despite the fact that the virtual track didn't have that, it still gave them a good point of reference on timings and when they needed to transition and stuff. It actually just meant that they could actually, in reality, carry a little bit more speed because they could use the banking to their advantage.
To pull the car back down.
But I think it still was a huge benefit to them to learn a layout, especially for those guys that are travelling in competition to circuits they've never driven or venues all across the world. You can't go and have a quick go in Spain or Finland before you get there. You have to practice that kind of somewhere.
No, and also depending on where you're based in the world, there'll probably be 4 to 6 months of a year potentially where you can't drift.
Yeah.
Like there's snow, ice, water, have no events, or the events that are on are like limited or only on certain bits of the track. Or so for the adverse weather, I think it's a no-brainer. No, the good thing with
it does cost something to build the equipment.
The good thing with a sim is you turn it on, you go. You turn it off. You can't do that with a drift car.
You could probably inherit some bad habits from it because you can drop the clutch on the rev limiter in fifth and it won't smash the gearbox out of the car.
Yeah.
So like, there's the ability to probably be a bit more mechanically ignorant than your average. You would be in a real car, but I think for the learning side of things and the basics of drifting, or not even just the basics, but to learn drifting, I don't think you can go far wrong. And as a tool, I think it's a great benefit. I just don't have a lot of experience with it.
Yeah, same. I mean, I've used Tom's for probably this sum total of 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I had one that was a bit naff, to be honest with you. Yeah, but I think a couple of grand would see you right on a really good sim setup.
I think it's like cars as well. It needs to be set up right.
Oh, definitely.
If you don't know what you're doing, it's not going to be of any benefit to you.
Yeah, and I don't know what I'm doing.
The setting side of things is very important, from what I can gather. Like I say, I've not really had a go on them, but the modern sim setups are so in depth now in terms of what you can adjust and feedback and so on. I think you do need to either have someone that knows what they're doing or take the time to educate yourself and learn how to set them up properly to get the most from them.
Yeah, I think that's probably a key bit of having a sim. It's getting it working right so that it feels right.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
And there is a lot of companies out and about there now that specialise in sims. So
and it's even Sim
it's
HQ now.
Yeah. And it's more and more accessible to the average man. A simulator a few years ago was, 5-10 years ago was, you're going to be spending silly money to have anything vaguely relatable to real life and not arcade game style. So obviously, like anything, the more popular it gets, the cheaper it gets, and the more accessible it gets. So. It's definitely not a negative.
No, definitely not. I'm going to fire a question at you now.
Oh dear.
You fired one at me last week, and we've had a load of questions, so I'm going to fire one at you. Who's the best driver in the world, and why?
Ooh, the best driver in the world. What are we talking? Just in drifting?
Best driver in the world.
What do I...
Who is in your opinion, and this is only in your opinion, Mr. Callum Pete, who is the best driver in the world? No top 5, the best driver in the world. We can go into top 5 maybe, but who would you think and why?
The stats don't lie, and I can't ignore James Dean. It's the obvious choice. I think he's actually that good. You always have to disregard him from this question because he's the natural answer that everyone.
Statistically speaking,
he's gonna. Yeah, but also he is fantastic in an absolute shit box as well. Mm-hmm. Like he doesn't need to be in a full pro car to be a great driver.
Yeah.
So James is the obvious answer. I would say there's a few drivers that have not had the opportunity that would
be up there.
I think, as we said, Julian Jacobs. I think if he was given a proper budget and the proper time to focus, a year or two, and he would be
up there.
Pretty undeniable.
Luke Fink
is again. That was exactly where I was about to head. Again, not everyone's cup of tea.
No.
Rubs people up the wrong way.
Bit abrasive sometimes.
Yeah.
But phenomenal.
But what a driver. And he's proven it time and time again in competition in 3 different cars. I think he's just won D1NZ this year, and I think every round he drove a different car, and some rounds he drove multiple. So I know in the last round he started in an R32 4-door with a big RB30 in it, and ended the event in a supercharged LS S15 with a sequential and wise fab. So, like 2 completely different cars, and still won the event. So, I think his adaptability is incredible. He's also been in the game a long time now.
Yeah, he has.
He's been part of drifting and the sort of mainstream drifting for as long as I can remember drifting. Like he was competing in the European Series 15 years ago in stuff, and in the low brain car. And
I remember watching him at IDC. He had a big crash, didn't he, in the low brain car.
So I think he is a driver that is yet to truly show what he's capable of in the world. I mean, he's shown what he's capable of at events like LZ, World Tour, and he's certainly, everyone knows he's good, but I don't think he's had the opportunity in, as we said last time, either Formula Drift or Drift Masters to actually show what he's capable of in a consistently reliable car that he hasn't broken a lot.
I agree.
In my opinion, I controversially, I don't really like him I think his personality I struggle with, but I would argue that he's probably one of the best drivers in the world that hasn't had the chance yet.
Yeah,
Or hasn't perhaps performed to his fullest yet, in my opinion. What about yourself?
James Dean. Nothing to that.
See you later.
Yeah. No, he's the best, isn't he? If I had to do a top five, we'll move on to the top five. I would say James Dean's number one. Like, you cannot.
Yeah.
I know we're European. I know he's Irish, and you say, oh, there's some guy in Japan who's better. Yeah. There might be, but statistically speaking, everything he's gone and done, he's either won or come top three in pretty much everything. And he's not just done it once; he's done it 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Everything he does, he wins, and it can be in a S14 with a 2J, E92 M3 with a 2J, S15, SRFD, or even the Mustang now. Yeah. So it doesn't seem to matter what machinery you put him in. You put him in a good machine, he will be top 5, and he'll probably win.
Yeah.
If everything goes right, he'll probably win. He's very unusual for him to make a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, we did see him make a big mistake recently, but
yeah, he did,
and he said that's the biggest mistake he's ever made in his career. But also, if you look at the mistake he made, it wasn't ridiculous. It wasn't a reckless mistake. He just gained a bit more speed than he thought, and unfortunately, the repercussions were sizable.
I think, unfortunately, the track let them down a bit on that one.
I think the wall let them down a bit.
That was...
If that was a traditional barrier that they use at, say, Riga or Poland or something, I don't think the outcome would have been so severe.
I think it would have been the end of his day.
It would have been great.
He might have, vice cyclists might have been able to rebuild it for the next day. Yes, gone. That car's done.
I think, but that mistake that James made was not a big mistake in the world of competition drifting. It had a big outcome, but the mistake he made wasn't vast, really.
Yes.
And he has driven in the most ridiculous of conditions and events and ridiculous situations. And I think the other thing that is fantastic about him is he seems like a genuinely lovely guy. He's not. He's not arrogant,
and
he's not big-headed.
Loves the sport.
Yeah, he's literally not done another professional career.
No,
he hasn't had a job other than drifting for a living.
But to get that good, you have to be a bit obsessed.
Yeah, definitely, and he is.
He is. Yeah,
and he has a great team behind him, and he's had the backing that he deserves. And I don't think
from an early start as well.
Definitely, and I don't think there's a more deserved person for it either. I don't think anyone has ever looked at James Dean and gone, bit of a knob. Like he's just a lovely guy.
Yeah.
And you could see, even in Spain, you could see the absolute devastation at what had been the outcome of his mistake.
Yeah, he was gutted.
Yeah, he really was.
I'd say from a number 2, somewhat potentially controversially, I would say McKeever.
Yeah.
I would say he's never had the machinery to be able to, well, you could argue he's too aggressive on the machinery.
Yeah.
But I would say he's never had the run to be able to put something together. You see him do an unbelievable chase for qualifying run, and then another unbelievable chase for qualifying run, and then his diff exploded.
But when he's on song, he is on song.
He is an animal. And
I've had the privilege of watching him compete, like I said earlier, in BDC, and this was a few years ago with a lesser car, and obviously he'll have learnt a lot since then. We're probably talking 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
And you would see pro practice come to an end, and Dwayne would be the first car out every time for Super Pro, or what was Pro, what is now Pro. He would be the first car out, and you'd have just watched someone in a 600 brake S-body come around that corner, and you think, wow, they're moving. And then Dwayne would come out, and you'd think, oh my God, he's like 20 mile an hour faster. He's got way more angle, way more excitement in his driving.
I remember watching him at, I think it was at Drift Masters, where they were in like France, and it was quite a fast track. And he lined up for his first battle against another guy in a really fast, D-Mex spec car. This is when he just started, and he disappeared.
Yeah. He had this ability, and still does have this ability to find like an extra 5 mile an hour of vehicle speed over everyone. And I think it is that full throttle sort of style that he has. But he has an ability to find grip where people don't seem to as well. Like on a wet event, he is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, he really is an incredible driver. He's just had dire luck.
He's had dire luck, and he's
and
not.
Arguably, like you said, it could be his influence on the car. He is hard on the machine.
Dwayne is all in, from driving to machinery to everything, and unfortunately, the machinery doesn't always like all in.
No.
It likes a little bit of leniency.
Yeah.
And Dwayne doesn't do any leniency. So I think with a bit of luck, or with a bit more, it's not even a bit more behind him, because I mean he's put a lot of money into that car.
He has, but they are a small private team.
They are.
He is almost. He's got great backing from Strom, as we're going to see. In Drift Masters this year, but he doesn't have a big budget behind him. They are a small family team that are self-funded to a large extent and just work really hard. Which is why when he breaks a diff or a shaft or a box, okay, they have some spares, but like in Spain they lost an engine. He doesn't have a big enough team to. He doesn't have a big enough.
No, if that was, I mean, he actually qualifying, so it wouldn't have mattered. But if it had happened, say second run of qualifying, he'd already qualified and they had a spare engine, they could have done it. And other teams will. Egan with the head for they'll try, but Dwayne doesn't got that budget.
Now, he does also run a billet block RB26, so
28.
It's a 28, but it's a 26 derived engine.
Oh, sorry.
So it's 26 head and 20. Well, there isn't a lot of 26 left in it. It is all the 28 crank and 28 rods and pistons. But so it's a spicy engine to have a spare of. But years ago in IDC, he also lost an engine in practice, and he runs a dry sump in that car and always has. And I think that's part of why his RBs have always lived. But they lost an engine in practice, and this was in a season that they were contesting for the championship, possibly one of his first championships in IDC. They went to JDM Distro, who you bought your Neo from. They bought an RB25 Neo off the shelf. They stud dropped it, so took standard head bolts out, dropped the aftermarket head studs in, didn't change the head gasket, and made 650 out of it, and did a season on it. So they have a never say die attitude, and that engine lived for a long time. For what it was, it should never have lived for as long as it did. And Dwayne is a savage, but he's down to do anything to get that car back out. But they just do not have the budget at the level they're competing to sadly be able to keep that car going in the big situations. And also, sadly, that car has let him down at such pivotal moments.
That's the problem.
When he's been absolutely flying.
And that must have an effect on your confidence.
Definitely. And he's so capable. So I, so far, am bang with you on 1 and 2.
I would say he's the best driver to never win DMEC.
I think
he's won an event.
He's won events. His best. He won Poland last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
His best event. His best championship is 3rd or 4th, I think.
Yeah, with engine failures, gearbox failures,
with diffs and all sorts hanging out.
Which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, very good. He's consistently up there until something
obliterates
stupid.
itself.
Yeah, he very rarely is knocked out by his driving.
Correct. Which is why I
Very
think
rarely.
he's number 2.
I agree.
Number 3. I'm on the fence with this one, but I'm going to say he's had a bit of a bad couple of years getting used to a new chassis, but I would say Peter Wycheck.
Yep.
I would say, again, he's proven himself. Multiple DMEC champion, multiple European Polish champion, is he multiple FD champion as well? Or is he single? He's won
an FD championship. I don't actually know.
So again, a bit like James Dean, he's won everything he's done.
Yeah. He's
won multiple events. And Riga last year, when they finally got that Supra going, and he did that like 98-point qualifying run, he was unbelievable in that Supra.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
He's a driver that, like we said in a previous episode, we're going to Riga this year to watch Drift Masters. He is a driver that I cannot wait to see in person because from what I can gather, he is the fastest man on track anywhere he is at. So to see him at full chat, I think is going to be impressive. But
he's also like quite a stylish driver. He is, flick entry, not handbrake drag entry. He is flick hard, from transition to transition, which we discussed with the Japanese style, which I do like. I don't like to see them sway from one side to sway to the other.
It's very snappy.
Vicek, he comes around the top corner at Riga, flick, he's going right, going the other way, and then flick, he's going left.
Flicks.
And
he
it
also runs his cars very gripped up.
Very.
For the average, like all these boys are running a lot of grip in Drift Masters, but his car seems to be, and other people have said like, he really does have all the grip in it, which is a very scary way of driving a car, which is probably why he is so fast and why everything happened so quickly, because he's on the ragged edge.
He's all out all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
He's flat out all the time. And I really respect that. I think he's a brilliant driver. Again, seems like a nice dude.
Yeah, he seems a really nice guy.
And he's got the backing.
He has got the backing.
The thing that Makiva doesn't have, he does have. So you put your money on him. I mean, if there wasn't a rule where last event in Spain, you had to use the same chassis that you started with to carry on the event, he would have carried on with that event and probably would have come up there.
But that is also why that rule exists, so every team doesn't bring 2 cars.
Yeah, which I do get. I mean, arguably, you could say, well, yeah, but he did nothing wrong and is going home.
No, but if it had happened to Dwayne would have done nothing wrong either, and he'd be going home. Because he wouldn't have had a second car.
That's very true, actually. That makes it then unfair financially, doesn't it?
And I think that is what that rule is there to stop.
That's going to have, well, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother podcast, but a lot of motorsports have rules, regulations, stuff like that. You almost don't want to see them because it takes away a lot of the fun of drifting, that you can do whatever the hell you want. Yeah. But then equally, when it's such an unlevel playing field, it then makes who is the best driver. Well, he's the best, but he ain't got the best money. Yeah. So he's the best because he's got the most money. And then I
think the rule book in Drift Masters is doing just enough to keep the cars at the upper echelon of what they can be, but not let the big boys run away with their budgets. Which is
I don't know though, because like Vicek's got 3 cars.
Well, 2.5 at the minute.
Well, 2 and a bit, yeah. but like, other people can just about have a car.
Yeah,
I know that's just his.
Arguably, you look at James.
Yeah.
Granted, he's got a career's worth of cars, but
True.
He's got 4 pro cars sat in his shed that he can take that would all be capable of winning a Drift Masters event.
True.
With him at the wheel.
True.
So
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Number 4, I'd go Jack Shanahan.
Yeah.
And I'd say that over Connor Shanahan, even though Connor Shanahan has won a championship and Jack Shanahan hasn't, which is a
Drift Masters championship.
Which is a bit controversial. Also, Connor has done better thus far in FD.
Yeah.
I would say Connor is a more consistent driver than Jack.
Yeah.
I would say Connor is a more professional person,
absolutely,
motorsport individual than Jack, which probably is better for sponsors.
Well, he is the marketing side of the brand. So.
But I would say that Jack is a more aggressive driver, which I enjoy watching more. Generally, he out-qualifies Connor. Yeah. Generally. Not all the time, but most of the time.
Mainly on the style aspect.
He's
a fantastic line driver.
He is.
Jack's got that little.
But Jack can do the line.
He can,
but he comes in hot. Connor does the line. Connor does the line and comes in fast.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. And that puts him ahead for me on qualifying and as a driver. I think he's in the sort of shadow of his brother a little bit, his younger brother. But I genuinely think he's the better driver. But he does sometimes overdrive.
And lets his emotions get in the way sometimes. Although I will say, in the last couple of years, I was, again, we're going back to the British Drift Championship. I was there when Jack first arrived on the scene as what was a 13-year-old lad. Yeah. In multiple different cars. But
with his paint thinner's car.
Yeah, but he had a temper on him. And throughout his career, not towards us, but like a frustration if the car failed or he made a mistake, which was rare even at 13.
He is harsh on himself.
He was very hard on himself and very fiery, which comes from his dad. His dad's very fiery as well. In the last few years, especially in the last sort of year, I would say, the last season, I know he's had a lot of self-doubt because of, I think, probably to an extent, Connor's success and his struggling with the car and not quite being on form. But in the last sort of 6 months especially, he's taken some very bad situations that he's been in, Riga being one of them.
Yeah.
Last year he was very dejected. He took it really well. And Formula Drift this year.
Well, he seemed to. I mean, we're not in his house. We don't know what it's like at home.
But publicly he used to be quite rowdy on a
he did.
microphone.
Yeah, he did.
And he wasn't scared to voice his opinion.
No.
But like, he had a hard time in Formula Drift so far this year. Had a very tough call against him, which I would argue was wrong. I think round one,
I think everyone thinks that was wrong.
Round two, he made a massive mistake.
Yep.
And just sort of said, I made a big mistake, and took it really quite humbly. And I think this new kind of, he's taking social media a lot more seriously now. He's the one that's doing all the Shanahan's vlogs, which I enjoy. I just enjoy watching. But he's seems to have like matured a lot and like humbled himself a little bit.
Yeah.
And actually, the result of that, as we're seeing at Driftmasters, is he's sort of coming back to the Jack Shanahan that we love.
Yeah, I would say, again, a bit like Wycheck, he's had a couple of difficult years in his brother's shadow. But I would say that, I mean, it's only been one round, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But from that one round and from what we've seen in FD, he's coming out swinging. Yeah. And he wants it. Yeah. And
I don't think he fully is comfortable in that one series in Formula Drift.
No, but he's still giving it.
He's having some moments of glory already in a car that.
Well, he won seeding.
Yeah. He's certainly looking exciting.
Give him a few years, and I think.
I don't think that car's for him.
He's also never driven left-hand drive.
He's not driving left-hand drive now.
Is it not?
No, it's right-hand drive.
Oh, I thought it was left-hand drive.
Rome converted to right-hand drive for
him.
Did he? Yeah. I think he should be. He needs a GT86 over there, like his brother.
Yeah.
And he would be much more comfortable, and I think he would probably shine a little more.
Yeah.
But obviously, you get what you give him when you're trying to put an event, a championship together on the other side of the world.
Very true. Very true.
Limited budget.
Yeah, and it's his first stab at it.
Yeah, and he's not embarrassed himself.
Oh God, no.
There's people there that have been in Formula Drift for a lot longer in other cars that really don't belong there, that are really making much more of a fool of themselves than he is.
Yeah, Saito made a right mess of it.
He's struggling this year.
Yeah.
I don't think he's very comfortable in that 86 with that VR. He doesn't look like he's really getting on with it.
No. Number 5. I don't know. I'm on the fence. I want to say Nakamura, but as incredible as he is at places like Mayhem and stuff like that, he's just so wild that, like, it's either going to be the best run you've ever seen, or he's taking 3 people out, a cameraman, like himself. Yeah. Like, there was absolutely no need for him to hit that blow because they went over the line at Spain. No need. And yet he did. Yeah. And smashed his car and smashed the dude's car. He'd won that battle. Yeah. And yet, literally, on the last 200 metres, threw it away. So I don't think I could put him in as number 5 because he just needs to. It's Naoki, so he is what he is, but he just needs to rein it back just a tiny bit, and he'd be top 5. I called this last week before we knew the result. Yeah. Before we knew the result, and I said in a talk chat about FD, except Hiro Manoa, talking about FD drivers not being as good as European drivers. Well. Hate to say I told you so, but Hiro Manoa went and beat James Dean in FD in America on a wet track which levelled the playing field. Yeah, definitely. And he beat him fair and square. And James said, "Fair enough, you beat me." Yeah. And he's 15. Yeah. He's 15.
He's 15, but he's probably got more seat time than me and you combined.
Oh yeah, yeah.
His mum and dad are also both D1 drivers, aren't they?
But what pedigree?
Yeah, exactly.
And he's 15.
Yeah, no, he's incredible.
I think
incredibly talented driver.
He's only had, this is his second season in FD, isn't it?
Yes, I believe
so.
Yeah.
So he's only had he's not even had 2 seasons yet. He's had 1 and a bit seasons. Yeah. And he's winning against your James Deans. Yeah. Look at Connor Shanahan. He beat James Dean, won a championship. Yeah. In DMEC, which we think is the highest level. Yeah. So I don't know what he'd do in DMEC in comparison, but
I think he'd be slow.
Potentially.
He loves a left foot brake. But Also, to be fair, I say that at Orlando, he was fast. When he decides to let off the left foot brake, he's quick and accurate.
But I think for talent, he's 15.
Yeah.
Like give him a few years. Even now, I would say top 5.
Yeah.
But if he's not top 5 now, he soon will be.
Yeah, I agree.
I would say.
I agree. It wouldn't shock me if he was battling for the championship by the end of this year.
No, definitely not. I would say definitely he.
And if not, it wouldn't shock me if he has a championship next year. He's going to be a champion. I think.
I would say definitely top 5 this year, potentially top 3. Next year, definitely top 3, potentially number 1.
Yeah.
That's how I'd put it. And I think in DMEC, he'd qualify top 10 easily.
Yeah.
Comfortably top 10. And I think he would be in with a shout of a podium in DMEC. With some practice, with some Valinos, in a GT86 with... Yeah. I think he would be...
He competes in FD Japan in a Toyota Corolla.
True.
So I don't think he's adverse to car change.
Which again shows you how...
TJ Corolla, yeah. The like modern one, like Turkey.
Yeah, not an old...
Yeah, not an 86.
86, yeah, a new Corolla. Yeah, and again, to be able to go from that switch of cars and be good in both.
Yeah, I don't think he struggles in Japan either.
No.
He's a very good driver.
No.
I'm going to make a controversial statement that you started this little segment with. I think Nakamura is overhyped.
Ooh. Mito, turn off now if you're watching. Why do you think he's overhyped?
So I think he is the most rowdy grassroots driver that you'd love to watch. I really do. And I think he has had moments of glory in competition. I don't think he belongs in Drift Masters. I don't think he's good enough. Consistently. Now that will upset some people, I'm sure.
I've got nothing to say. You carry on.
No, I think he's outlandish. He's got a lot of car underneath him in his pro cars a lot of the time. I think a lot of people have blown a lot of smoke up his ass and on the internet and got on board a bandwagon. I think he's a fantastic driver. I really do think he's a very good driver. What he does at Mayhem and what he does in more basic cars, he will drive a simple car as quick as some people will drive a pro car and be able to keep up. And I think that is admirable. I don't think as much of his competition driving. But I think part of that is just a style thing. I don't think his style translates to competition driving very well.
I think it does in Japan.
It probably doesn't.
I don't think it does in Europe.
I don't think it does in Europe.
And I think he's trying in Europe. But he's getting on.
Yeah.
And when you've been doing that for 20 plus years in Japan,
setting a certain way of doing it.
And then someone tells you, you know what you've been working on for 20 years in Japan plus. Ignore that. You can still go fast. Yeah. But all the other stuff, snap to angle, backwards entry, just take all that back about 75% and you'll be a really good comp driver. That must be hard to compute. The other thing is he's always in different cars.
Yeah, he is.
He's always like, we've got a GR86, then we've got a GT86, then we've got an S15, then we've got a V8 PS13, then we've got an SR PS13, then we've got a S15 with an SR VET, then we've got he's always in different cars. I don't know if that helps him or not. I don't think it does. I don't think it does. I think if he had like-for-like cars in Europe and in Japan, that would help.
Part of me thinks he would get on, especially on the smaller tracks. You put him in a 500 brake SRS body, I think he'd do as well in Drift Masters as he's done in his last 2 pro cars.
He almost needs less car.
It's a bit more encouragement. But then when you watch his driving, like when you watch him in America when he came over to there, and you watch him in Japan, he's the man that's like 3 wheels on the grass to cut the corner to make the room up if he needs to, or to stay close. That doesn't work in European competition.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
Like he is not. He can be a good line driver, as in Mayhem has a line, doesn't it?
Yep.
But he'll take whatever route it takes to keep his proximity.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't think that transition, his style, translates very well to European drifting. And I don't think he'll ever achieve a great deal in Europe.
Oh.
And that is not. That's a harsh statement, but I don't think he will ever compete.
My B-knuckle boy.
Yeah, I'm sorry to break your heart like this, but
He's my B-knuckle
and it's
boy.
not through. I don't. Like I said, I'm digging a hole. I'm panicking here, aren't I? I'm panicking.
I don't mean it. I don't mean it.
I can hear Mitto typing. I'm panicking. I don't think he. I think he's a fantastic driver in his discipline.
Stop backtracking.
I just don't think it translates to Europe.
You think he sucks?
I don't think he sucks. I think he sucks in Europe. No,
Yeah.
I don't think his style suits Europe.
To be fair, when we look at it, he's qualified a handful of times and he's knocked himself out in the top 32.
Yeah, and every time I picture him in Europe, in DMEC, in competition, the car and the line is here and he's somewhere over here because he's got the car gripped up and he's doing whatever it takes to keep the proximity.
That car is so fast as well. It's so fast.
Yeah, it is pretty rowdy. So that's my controversial statement.
Would you agree with the other top 5?
What did we have? We had James Dean. Yeah,
James Dean, number 1. Dwayne McKeever, number 2.
without a shadow of a
Number
doubt.
3, Peter Vicek. Sorry if I'm butchering
Yeah.
that. Number 4, Jack Shanahan.
Yeah.
Number 5, I said Hiro Manoa. I'm not 100% sold on myself on that one, but I feel like as a 15-year-old lad who's doing as well as he is, you cannot not mention him. Who would you put in number 5? Obviously not Nakamura because you think he's shit. But who would you put in number 5 instead? Because I know you're not sold on Manoa.
I'm not sold.
And now
I
I've
think
talked about
Manoa,
it.
again, is a fantastic driver, and I think he will be. I think you can't deny his talent. I think he's not at his best yet.
You think
Which
he's
is
up?
scary.
He's up
Because
there,
he's
but
good.
he's not there.
He's not at his best yet. He's 15.
That's the
I
bit.
couldn't dress myself properly. I still can't, but I couldn't dress myself properly at 15, let alone do what he's doing. It's fantastic to see.
But I'm thinking just sorry to backtrack. Connor Shanahan, Jack Shanahan when they were 14, 15.
Yeah.
They were in British touring cars, British Drift Championship and various other championships, and they were doing really well and sometimes winning them.
Jack was in Europe. Jack was competing
At 15?
13.
He wasn't winning though.
He wasn't not winning. He
Really?
was doing very well. When he had the S54, S14,
That went well.
when it did work, it went really well. But it
Didn't
had
work
its
very well.
issues. And he's having those issues again with an S54 now.
Yeah, he
in
doesn't seem
America.
to like S54s very much.
I like them. I think they sound fantastic when they're turboed. But it
Yeah.
doesn't look like they're a world of fun in an S-body. Or stood up. They need to be laid down, apparently.
They don't seem to work, do they?
No. When they do work, they sound fantastic. But I don't...
I think they don't seem to work at 1,000 horsepower.
No.
And that's
stood up.
Unfortunately,
Stood up is the key thing because it was stood up in his S14 as well.
Starves
The
it.
whole oiling system is designed to be laid over like all BMW engines are.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
you start playing with that, you start finding issues.
True.
I think it's tough, isn't it? I think obviously I'm going to keep referring to European drivers because that's what.
Well,
I
we
really
said
like.
in a previous podcast that we feel that DMEC is the championship.
I do.
So you really have to pick the drivers from that championship, unless there's someone in another championship doing something absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
We mentioned Luke Fink, D1NZ.
I think another driver that hasn't had the luck, perhaps, is Odie Batches in America in the field suspension S15.
Do you think?
I think he's an underdog that is always the bridesmaid, never the bride. He's very good, very technical, but had a lot of bad luck or little mistakes that cost him greatly. I wouldn't put him as top 5 either. But I think he's an American driver that is.
So we're just talking about our favourite drivers.
Yeah, sorry.
This is favourite driver cast.
I've certainly got a few that I would say are an honourable mention. I think Laurie Heinen, what he's done in the last few years.
I was just thinking, maybe I should have put Heinen up there.
Yeah, fantastic.
But
driver.
it's only the last 2 years.
Only the last 2 years. But
And-
his technicality,
Took himself out in Spain.
he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did make a big mistake.
So
Well, he did beat the tyre, didn't he?
yeah, but
because he dropped
the wheel. Yeah.
I think another driver that I really like that hasn't done a great deal in Drift Masters is Marco Zaccaria.
Yep.
I think every time his car works, when it was V8 turbo and even now, like when it works and he's having a good day, he's having a real good day. And another guy is Torana Kavir.
Yeah.
When he is on form, he is one of my favourite. He's one of my top 3 favourites to watch in Drift Masters.
Yeah, I'd agree.
He's a very rowdy driver, but
I just don't like his car. Sorry.
So I quite do. I do.
Yeah,
quite like it,
I don't like it.
Especially this year, it's a nice pink. It's metallic pink. It's not highlighter pink like it was last year.
Yeah, it's better this year in fairness.
It doesn't last long enough. He's normally ripped every panel off it.
It's true, actually.
I think Connor deserves to be at number 5. But
Baldy or Shanahan?
Shanahan. But
I'd agree.
I think he does. He should be there, but for some reason I can't put him there. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. There's a few things he's said and done lately that upset me a little bit. Not personally, but I think.
What do you mean? Elaborate. He's not going to watch this, so I don't know.
No, he's not going to watch this. But I'm also I don't want to be negative. But he's becoming very quick to comment at judging decisions and how he's on the shit end of the deal all the time. A little bit. Well,
You reckon?
a little bit lately. But he's also under a lot of stress of trying to run 2 teams in 2 countries. So
Yeah.
I understand that. He's got a lot riding on it.
Yeah.
I think he's, again, fantastic technical line driver.
To be fair, we did say about judges,
Yeah, yeah,
especially in America.
yeah. He's a fantastic driver, but he doesn't always have that spark
That's the best way of putting it. Like,
that makes you think, wow. Like, he will be the closest to some people, the most. One thing he is fantastic at is transitions. His transitions will be bumper to bumper, but he just isn't always very exciting to watch.
he did one wow thing, which was beating James Dean in the arena. That drive against James Dean was unbelievable.
He's capable. He's more than capable.
But
Obviously, he's won a
after then, I've not once watched his battle and thought, wow, that was unreal.
But I've watched a lot of Jacks.
I thought, wow, that was unreal.
Wow, that was
well,
mental.
Jack beat him at the weekend.
Yeah.
At the weekend.
Yeah.
Beat him in Spain. They went up in like-for-like machinery with the same horsepower on the same tyres at the same event, and Jack beat him.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I think Jack just needs a run of luck as well.
I think Jack needs some luck, some confidence, the right judging calls.
And the right Jack to get out of bed that day. Because he really is someone that is, if his head's not in it, it's not in it. And which we all can be like. But I agree fully with your top 4. I don't know who I'd put at top 5, in your number 5.
I'm struggling, because Heineken has an argument, but also...
One person who I didn't expect to mention, who I watched a clip of him at the Gatbill track the other day in a... Gatbill in Sweden.
Oh, yeah.
Asbo. When he's on form, he is spicy. He was driving a
good point.
300 horsepower NA2J Supra Mark IV with a dog box in it and flying. Like, it's his ice car.
Yeah.
But he was driving it on the Gatbill track, passing pro cars.
Yeah.
Flying as fast as he could. Like, he has a lot of natural talent.
Didn't he win round 1 FD?
Yep.
He came second or third round 2?
Yeah. He's leading the championship in FD at the minute.
Yeah.
And he's had a rough few seasons.
Yeah,
He's a former champion.
Yeah, he is.
But he's a very, very
Well
good
backed,
driver.
Rockstar.
Yeah. And Toyota.
And
He's a
Toyota.
Toyota driver. I think he's probably worth a mention.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick him for being the most exciting driver on the whole in competition.
No, but he's up there, isn't he?
But he's up there. The top 4 I've got. The number 5 onwards.
Maybe you can give us your comments. Maybe you can say you guys are full of absolute shit.
Well, I'll brace myself for the hate mail when...
How dare you say that about Naoki Nakamura?
You know nothing. And you're fat. I can see it all coming now. It's fine. Yeah. The keyboard's furiously beating when this comes out.
Yeah. Mito's going to be
he's going to be
fuming.
Sorry, Mito.
Sorry, Mito. Yeah. He is unbelievable, but I do get what you're saying about, this is Naoki, I do get what you're saying about, he is just not necessarily there when it comes to competition driving.
In Europe.
Yeah. No. There's probably some Japanese guy I've never heard of who doesn't have an Instagram, doesn't have any sort of social media, and he's an absolute savage.
Yeah, Mito will be sending us links to them all.
Yeah, someone like the old Mind Control racing guys on the streets in Japan.
Any of the Team Burst boys.
Just unreal. And we're probably not doing them any justice. But
I'm not doing loads of people any justice. I'm going to drive home and be like, oh, what about him? What about him? What about him?
Yeah.
I think I tell you who I would put number 5, and we've mentioned already, Luke Fink. I think if he gets the backing that he truly requires, and actually focused fully on one of the big two, be it Formula Drift or which he was trying to go to this year, but didn't actually. Was he? Yeah, he was. He had a place in FD. They're building a 32 4-door.
That's different. He does a lot of 32.
It was going to be an RB30, but they've changed it to a supercharged LS because of America. If he can get that program together, which he's trying to get together for the 2026 season, it will be very interesting to see how he stacks up.
I'm with you though, I don't like him. Sorry, Luke. But in a way, it's kind of more. Again, he's not going to watch this.
No. Not at all.
It's, I suppose, credit to us that even though we're not big fans, we still have to say, but he is a mental driver.
He's a mental driver. Incredible to watch.
Yeah.
And to be fair, a lot of people probably don't like us.
Most people don't like us.
But they're still watching.
That's why we don't have many sponsors. and many,
or friends.
And that's why you have no money. I have no money.
Yeah.
You sold your R32 to buy a 350Z, which you spent a load of money on.
Yeah.
And we're both sad
All
pandas.
of them are doing better than us. All the people we've mentioned
Oh, God, yeah.
are doing far better than us.
Yeah. And
so who are we to judge?
And all the people we haven't mentioned are doing better than us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but we'll still talk about them.
Yeah. But no, I think that top 5 is hard to beat. I think certainly a driver that...
Well, we've mentioned probably 5 people that would make up the top 10.
Yeah.
On top of those top 5, with your Falveys, your Shanahans, your Manoas, your all them lot. I would probably say Asbo for number 5. Or Fink. It's sort of...
Yeah.
I don't know on Fink because he's not done it.
Well, he has, but in New Zealand, where we don't really see any of the coverage.
Yeah.
He's just won the New Zealand Pro Championship. And there is some very spicy cars out there, so it's and drivers. But it's just not covered that well, is it?
Unless it's Mad Mike, nothing gets shown.
No.
And Mad Mike, he's not a particularly good...
No, he's a very stylish driver.
Very. And he's done Japan driving.
He's done FD.
And he builds a sick car.
Yeah, he does.
But...
He's a great marketer.
Fantastic. Probably one of the best, if not the best. Yeah. But not necessarily the best driver.
Also, I've got a bone to pick with him because he's taken the RB out of his son's car and he's putting a 3-rotor in it because he couldn't get the RB to work.
How can you not get an RB to work? But we get a rotary to work. What?
That was the video I saw. We're taking the RB out of the S14 for reliability and we're putting in a 3-rotor.
Said no one ever.
No. He did say, to be fair, the reason being is we know how to run rotaries. We've run them for years.
Yeah, which is fair enough.
And we don't know how to run RBs and we've blown 3 up. Which does happen. But not just any 3-rotor. A billet 3-rotor. An all billet 3-rotor.
Because Red Bull.
Yeah, that was destined for one of his cars. But
was it?
Putting it in his son's car for reliability.
That's a lucky son.
That's a lucky son, isn't it?
Imagine that. Dad, can I just have the billet 3-rotor, please?
Dad, I've blown my 3rd RB up. Well, don't worry, I'll fix it with this £60,000 billet rotary.
More, I think, because I know a triple rotor. Sorry, a 4-rotor, normal sort of engine. They're about 45.
I think someone we know in this country that might have a couple of triple rotors and I think they were around the £60,000 mark, and I don't think they're all billet. So,
oh my god!
And that's just for the keg.
Yeah.
That's not turbo and
really.
Yeah, I think they're a bit fruity.
Although we
may
could
get corrected on that.
Yeah, we could reduce.
The number I've heard.
We could reduce that if he doesn't want that talking about. If he gets us a deal on some tyres.
Yeah,
Mr. Tyre Man.
No, you can't afford to. He's got PPRE to pay.
Yeah, it's true.
Invoice to pay.
That's true. My tyre price for next year has just gone up a lot. But yeah,
he's actually on his way to Gateville this weekend as well. Axel.
Is he?
Yeah, he's taking the Corvette to Gateville.
He is from out that way, isn't he?
Sweden.
He is Swedish, isn't he?
Gateville's Norway, I think.
Oh, well, yeah.
Scandinavia.
Yeah, it's not England, is it? So
Cold.
yeah,
Cold. Goes
Yeah.
to a cold bit.
Scandinavia-y.
But yeah. No, I think that about sums it up, really, isn't it? For the driver side of things, I can't. I'm going to drive home and think of others, but.
And your best grassroots driver is?
Ooh.
I'm throwing a spanner in there.
You really are throwing a spanner in it.
Do you want me to do my best grassroots
Yeah, go on.
driver?
Oh, I tell you what. Naoki.
Yeah.
Best grassroots driver. But
I'd say probably Naoki. Naoki is the most influential grassroots driver, I would say, in the world. In terms of, he went to New Zealand, everyone changed their cars. He went to America, everyone changed their cars.
you went to Europe, everyone told him to fuck off.
Everyone said, "You're shit."
One wheel off, go home.
Yeah. Well, that comes back to my last week's podcast rant about dropping a wheel and getting yeah. But yeah, I'd say Naoki is probably number one. But then I'd say, for me, it would be Julian Jacobs number two. But I'm biased, so I don't really know. Who would be your number two?
Best driver you've never heard of, Jack Tonkin.
Joking aside, no one knows
No
about.
one knows him.
Again, we are unbiased. Yeah, we are
biased.
We are biased. Sorry, but Jack's, did he come third in like G1 GP or something?
Yeah.
The
Driven,
boy's a fucking animal.
and always in like
Crap cars.
shit cars on
Yeah.
part one tyres, so it's too tight to put anything deep.
Literally. And it doesn't matter if it's on a roundabout on the A11
Yeah.
or if
Allegedly.
it's allegedly
Statute
or
of
if it's
limitations.
down Minami in Japan.
Best driver you never heard of.
It's funny, isn't it? Because he's
He also doesn't care.
no, he isn't. He doesn't.
Doesn't really care about drifting anymore. He's got
He's
about
too busy.
3 drift cars he's going to build apparently, but he'll never drift, I don't think, because
Yeah, well, he's got RB30s and RB26s and
he
stuff
was
sat
an early
there.
adopter of the Matsuri trip, wasn't he?
He was.
To Japan, and I think that ruined
Drifting for him.
drifting for him in this country.
Yeah.
Understandably.
Yeah, I think once you've tasted the sweet of fruit, you don't want the fruit you got anymore.
Yeah.
And he
But
tasted
he's
that
probably
sweet fruit.
One of the best drivers you've never heard of that I've experienced I've physically experienced.
The thing with Jack as well is he'll be doing that one-handed whilst texting his mate.
Yeah.
Like, no
Yeah,
sweat.
He's a scary guy.
He is a
If
scary
he was more
guy.
laid back, he'd fall over.
Yeah.
I've been in some disgusting scenarios with him at obnoxious speeds.
Yeah.
And a fox has run out whilst he's mid-text at north of 150, and he's gone, oh, God, that was close.
Yeah.
Like, he's not...
But then he'll go straight back to texting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, in his words, driving's boring, so I've got to have something to do.
Well, he does parachuting now because obviously skydiving. Because
Yeah.
that's just
To give you an
what
idea
you do.
of Jack, his idea of a delicious lunchtime snack is raw mushrooms. So
Yeah.
that sums him up perfectly.
He's not wide, right?
He's not wide up, right?
And I've got some fantastic Snapchats of him mapping cars on the A11.
Yeah.
And allegedly mapping cars on the A11 at obscene speeds, one-handed,
He said on the private road that is near the A11
but not the
that
A11.
he street tuned this on. His text to me was, gets to the limiter in 5th fast. And I did the maths on it, and that's about 190. I wouldn't drive that car much above 90.
I did a track day in that car, and I was scared at the top of 4th at Snetterton on a racetrack.
Yeah. So he's a scary man. He's a brave man as well, which doesn't really care, and was around drifting for a long time. So he's probably a driver that you've never heard of that I think is fantastic. And other than that, I mean, well, it's Hurt, isn't it? Obviously, let's circle back. Best
I'm going to be real with you here. I love Hurt, but
He's not that good.
He's not a good driver.
He's a good driver, but he's not a fantastic driver. I think that Casey
Shirt soaked in.
well within. He's a driver that deserves a high five.
There's a few of the Japanese boys that do Mayhan and other tracks, Toshi we mentioned earlier, that are wild drivers.
Yeah.
Wild drivers. As much proven by, we said before, Jimmy Oakes going to Mayhan and being humbled. The Animal Style boys, when they went to Mayhan, completely humbled. And they are other like-for-like grassroots drivers.
I would say Jimmy's working his way up there pretty quickly as well.
All those Front Street boys,
Yeah.
pretty savage.
Yeah.
Including Jimmy.
Tom Front Street.
But
Tom.
again, the Naoki influence.
Yeah.
It all comes back to the Naoki influence.
I've said his shit now.
Naoki, Japan. I'm just trying to make up for him saying what he said earlier, Mito.
Trying to balance the gods. The Naoki gods are going to be fuming.
The Naoki gods.
We're going to lose subs from this.
Yeah, unsubscribe. Our 5 subscribers have left us.
Shit.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah.
I would say, I'd say the C's Garage Boys are good, but they haven't done enough recently to show you how good they are.
There's a guy in Australia who I also think is a rowdy driver. He goes by the Instagram name of Hodges. He's got a black JZX 100 on its tit. And that boy throws down.
Yeah, there's a couple of Aussie
And
boys.
he
that
throws down on the street,
Yeah.
allegedly. And he can party. Some of the clips of him, he's a spicy driver. And I think that we don't condone street drifting, obviously, because it's illegal. But there's something about, if you're still willing to do it on the street in this day and age, you get an extra 10 big boy points from me.
I'd
if
agree.
it was condoned.
Which is
Because
not.
it's so much risk now, especially in Australia. Or anyway,
Yeah, in
but
Australia, like,
Australia,
you've changed your wheels. Prison.
Prison, yeah.
Yeah.
Dump valve, prison.
Yeah, literally.
So to drive a JZX on Equips, like touching arch the lip, and street drift it is
Yeah.
big boy points.
I was thinking about that other Drift Squid chap,
Drift Squid, yeah.
but he's not really.
He's been around the scene a long time. Good
more-
marketing.
yeah.
I don't know if he's done a bit. I don't think he's done all that amazingly. I wouldn't also say he's a grassroots driver anymore.
No, he's not
competing
anymore.
In D1, isn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's someone that is probably someone, again, most people haven't heard of.
No. No, RB28 M3, fucking ripping car.
Yeah.
That car is obscene.
Yeah. 10,000 RPM. There's something about 10,000 RPM out of a.
It's the number in it.
Oh,
Richard Gilby in this country, I think, is the only guy that's got a
6 at that.
10,000 RPM engine. And
Well,
that
Dwayne's at 96 or 98.
is he.
Which I'm really looking forward to hearing at Riga.
And it's RB, so I mean,
That's RB, so it's better.
better.
Just better. Just better. Even if it's worse, it's better.
Interesting.
You? Anyone else that springs to mind?
No, I was just thinking, but I think we've covered the majority of them. And so, again, someone's probably hollering at their
Oh, yeah.
phone like, you forgot this guy. But although we're really into drifting to an autistic level, we don't know everyone, unfortunately. And
No.
I'm sure there's someone out there that we probably don't even know about who's
No.
probably a savage. We just
And
don't
also,
know
I'm
about.
very nerdy, but as soon as you put a camera in front of me and a podcast microphone, my brain turns to scrambled egg and I can't remember after.
Yeah, I
people that I'm
often
thinking
watch these back and I'm like, Adam, why'd you say that for? Like, it's clearly not that.
Trying to remember every person. I'll flick through social media later and I'll be like, I should sit in.
Yeah,
Or her.
yeah, or her. Yeah.
But yeah, I can't think of many others that spring to mind very immediately. But again, like we said, there's hundreds. There's more people in this country that probably deserve a high five and a pat on the back.
All right, and let's round it off with a UK. What's going on?
I'm gonna
Drifting,
start-
best drivers.
I'm going to start with a driver that you've, again, probably never heard of, Fraser Stark.
No, I know Fraser Stark.
Well, you do know Fraser Stark.
2JM3.
2JM3.
Yeah.
He was a driver that, again, had a lot of bad luck.
He did.
And when he was on form, oh boy, he was on form. He was a hell of a driver to
Yeah.
watch. Another strong UK contender.
I would add into that Mark Huxley.
Huxley, yeah.
Huxley in that RA28 Celica,
Doing-
which was sick. Doing backies with an SR and putting it on doors.
Yeah.
In pretty much every competition, he would be up there, top 10.
Yeah.
He
Same
was-
in his K70. Or his Volvo.
Yeah.
All
Doesn't
his-
matter. Doesn't matter what you put him in. He was always one of the best drivers.
He goes in straight lines.
Now does straight lines for 8 seconds, 9 seconds.
Yeah.
Which
Still breaks a lot of stuff from what I can see.
I think, he did an engine the other day,
Snapped a
didn't he?
crank the other day.
It's bad time.
Bad
He
time.
wouldn't have that problem with an RB, but he went V8, didn't he? So some people will learn. Who else would I say in the UK who's very good? Martin Richards, mentioned him before, but I think with some budget, he would be up there in Drift Masters.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he has got a good team behind him.
Yeah.
Sort of.
No, he has. He kind of is the team, but
he is the team.
but he's got an incredibly good level of knowledge.
He's got an incredibly capable car as well.
Incredibly capable. Well, it's old tech now, but it does work.
It's all pretty much been refreshed now.
Has it?
Yeah, it's got sequential in it.
Just looks old tech.
It's on a Nexus R5 and
Is it?
been fully rewired. Wise fab winters. Like the car's a lot more advanced than it used to be.
I've driven with this guy once. I don't think he knows I've driven with him, but I've driven with this guy once and he blew my mind. Louis Edwards.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a very talented UK driver. I don't like his choice of engines.
No, me neither.
but when he's on form, he's on form.
Oh my God, he can drive.
Yeah, he's someone that I think could petition for a Driftmaster slot and not embarrass himself.
Oh no, definitely. Yeah, no, I'd say that in Drift Masters he would do well. I don't know if he'd win.
I don't know if he'd win,
but
I
he'd
think
do well.
Give him a couple of seasons and a little bit of backing. I think he'd put on a show.
He is an animal. Had a big crash last year at Alton Park.
Alton Park, yeah.
Went wide, going fast. Wheel dug in.
Did a kickflip.
Yeah. Not a good day.
Not a good kickflip either.
Yeah, don't want to be doing kickflips in U36.
He's got a weird fetish for Lanciers. His dad owns a Lancia in a Fiat garage.
Big Italian guy.
Yeah, he's really good at working on cars.
Yeah, he is. But yeah, he was at Matsuri and did the night demos, and I would say by far he was the best driver there. I would say another very good UK driver who is consistently very good, doesn't matter which track or what it is, Ryan Hughes.
Yeah.
So Ryan Hughes, I mean, the boy can build a car too, which does help. He's got some machinery underneath him. But every single Silverstone event, it's like, and third place, Ryan Hughes, and second place, Ryan Hughes.
He's a bit like you, isn't he? He doesn't do competition.
Don't do comps. Well, he does. He did like, what's it called? That one at, he did the comp at Thingy that we spoke about. Thingy.
Give me more than that.
Not Glastonbury.
No, definitely not Glastonbury.
Goodwood. He did Goodwood. He did Glastonbury. did a burnout on the grass, and no, he did that, and I think he did well. He's done Drift Pro and done quite well. I don't think he's won, but he's done quite well. But at Silverstone, against similar opponents, he's always on doors.
Got quite a sizable set of testicles on him as well, from what I've seen from him at Coombe.
Yeah, and that car is money to run, money to build, but he goes to a lot of events.
I saw a video of him doing Coombe this weekend, and he did a full set of semi-slicks from pit exit and didn't make it.
Yeah, he didn't do a lap.
Before they exploded.
Yeah, he didn't do a lap.
So, like, I mean, that car makes what, 1,000-ish?
I think it's 1,000 wheel.
1,000 wheel. Oh,
it is fast. GT86.
DY build.
What I quite like about it as well is it's quite inconspicuous. Yeah, it's got plates on it. It's got, it's low and got a kit on it and all sorts of stuff. But there's no livery. There's no look at me. It's just a really sick looking GT86.
If you saw it parked up at a car show, you wouldn't know if it was a drift car or a show car.
No, you wouldn't. That's a good point. But yeah,
it just is a nice car.
If it was at Gravity, you'd be like, oh, that's a cool show car.
Yeah, and then he takes it out.
And then he goes, yeah, he's a savage. I tell you who really impressed me as well, worth a mention. I know you weren't there, but at Matsuri, Shane Faber. Not been doing it that long, E46. I believe it's the original one the Irish one that Dan Brown
2J one
had, yeah.
It was orange for a little bit.
That's it.
Now it's blue, isn't it?
Now it's blue, with Faber roofing down the side of it. He's two-wheel man. He's a savage two-wheel man. Yes, he does a lot of sports bikes, super bikes, that sort of stuff.
So he's not scared.
Not scared, but he is always like up there in terms of. He's always one of the consistent guys. That car is well set up. In fairness, it is.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. But what I mean by that is,
it helps.
It helps. Yeah. Having a
He's got a fight in the car.
Correct. You know, he's got a sequential.
That's a really unusual car as well, if it's still set up the same way as it used to be. When Dan Brown bought that car over, it was a 2J46 M3. It had a BMW M3 gearbox in it, but it had a Nissan R33 GTR rear end in it, which is a really complicated thing to fit in a 46 because they're trailing on, and a S body, R body is not. So
Shane, if you're watching this, comment.
It was a really unusual car. I don't know whether it still has that. I know it ended up with a quaif in it.
It's got a quaif in it because apparently, if you're in part of the Garage 500 gang, you have to have a Quaife.
Yeah.
It's
To
just
be fair, that's a team that's worth a mention.
Yeah.
All of them. Rippers.
yeah. I mean, you got Marcus, 1,000 horsepower.
I can't name them all because there's about 600 of them and they're like a packet of Skittles.
That is
all
true,
their cars
yeah.
are different colours and sick.
Yeah.
A lot of X-bodies.
And they all drive well,
They're
they all turn up with
really well presented,
Yeah.
really nice cars.
Yeah.
They make big ponies.
yeah.
And they're all not afraid to bend them.
No,
You shouldn't be bending them, but they're not fearful of their cars. They're flat chat and here to party.
normally Ryan hopes that they do because then it gives him a lot of work for the following
Well,
week,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
if Ryan hasn't destroyed his own car in the process.
that's true. Ryan does sometimes do that, and they all use DY because he's the local engine supplier, and
Pirate Dave was pretty good at his job.
Pirate Dave, Pirate Dave is pretty good. They are just hell of a team. I'm trying to think of anyone else now that
Tom.
Yeah, we can't do Tomcast again though.
Yeah, we can.
We can't do Tomcast again.
Tom's good. The end.
Tom does stuff that you shouldn't be able to do in an S14 with 2 years driving experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the best. That's the best summary ever.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, I'm sure. Again, there's going to be loads of people we've missed, but I think we're fortunate to have a lot of good drivers in this country, and certainly a lot of good drivers in Europe to aspire to be a bit more like, and not like Nike because he's a bit shit.
End of the podcast. No, Nauki's a bit shit. Said no one ever other than Callum.
Apart from the fat man who drives a broken 350.
Yeah. I mean, your competition experience extends to
Watching. I'm really good at watching it. Bit like my fitness career. I'm really good at watching people do it. Not so good at performing it myself.
Yeah, we're not quite grasped this, have we?
No.
We're not really in a position to talk about it.
I feel like I'm
there's
like the epitome of the guy that looks like me stood at the side of a football pitch shouting at professional athletes that they're shit. I'm that guy.
Yeah, mouthing off the referee.
You are shit. What are you doing? And I've not been at Drift Masters in my TJ GR86. So
No?
You
didn't have one there at home that you just
didn't
forgot
wanna
to mention.
No, I didn't want to risk it.
Yeah. You can't really take an E250D to.
I couldn't be asked to go to Spain.
Got the invite, but I couldn't.
I
be
turned
asked.
them down.
Yeah, couldn't be asked. That concludes this podcast. In the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram at idle.chat and on YouTube at Idle Chat Podcast. You can follow us personally. I'm at AdamMS15 and Callum is at Callum_Pete.
Yeah. This podcast is available on YouTube, on Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. So take your pick. We've been trying a few different things lately, a few little tweaks to how we put this together in terms of format. Give us some feedback. We'd love to hear it. So we're curious as to what you guys want, whether you want a more specific sort of singular topic, or us to just chat shit and waffle and
say Nauki's shit, even though it's not shit.
and sort of have more of an informal conversation. We're down for either. So if you guys can give us any feedback, it's only gonna benefit us. But thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Start that again.
Why?
You just went, follow us.
To follow us.
Please follow us. Please.
We need subscribers.
Follow us.